afternoon all. My name is Pooja Patel. I'm a student at SHMS, Swiss Hotel Management School in Lausanne, Switzerland. I'm going to be talking about my leadership final assessment. Today we're going to be discussing a little bit about myself. I'm going to give you a little background about my experience and where I come from. And then next I'm going to move on to the emotional intelligence test that we took here within the class. It's the SEI 6 questions analysis test. Then I'm going to move on to my SWOT analysis. Of course, this is subjective to my own perceptions. I'm going to be going over my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and my threats. Along this course, I've also developed a personal vision statement. I found this to be one of the most challenging tasks of the entire course, which is quite interesting because a lot of people have a clear goal of what they would like, whereas I found it quite challenging because I have so many different options that I'd like to pursue that it was quite difficult for me to compact them into one single vision statement. Next, we move along to the career choices that I'd like to have, where I'd like to see myself in the next perhaps 5 years, the path that I would like to use to get to this career. Also, I'm going to go into what kind of job I'd like to look for and why. This is going to, of course, come between my long-term goals and, of course, my vision statement as well. Next, I'm going to be talking about which type of company I would like to work for in the STAR acronym, where there would be a startup or a turnaround or a realignment and etc. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the leadership style that I would like to fall under. This would help mold me into the professional that I would want to be. So choosing an effective leadership style to be underneath and to follow and for them to guide me will be very important and have great value in me, because it's going to mold the way that my career goes. Also, the type of leadership style that I would like to take on as an individual, because this will mold the future employees that I have and affect my performance and its success as well. And then lastly, I'll just conclude everything into a nice little conclusion for you. So I just wanted to give a little introduction to myself. My name is obviously Pooja Patel, like I mentioned before. I'm 23 years old. I come from Lusaka, Zambia, which is in the southern central part of Africa. I studied there through my high school, and then I moved to America in order to complete my undergraduate at Johnson & Wales University in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then after I finished my undergraduate degree, I worked for a year at the Dunhill Hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the uptown area. It was a business hotel, but it was also a historic hotel of America, a boutique hotel. Only 60 rooms, but I started off as a receptionist, and I worked my way up and I took opportunities where I saw them. At the end of the year, I ended up being the executive housekeeping director of the hotel, which I gained a lot of experience in, and that this is where I found my love for housekeeping and where my perfection and my detail-orientatedness has grown, and it was born in me through housekeeping. From this, next I moved to work to the Radisson Blu Hotel in Lusaka, Zambia, which is where I'm from. I was the assistant front office manager over there, and it was nice to come back to the front office side of the hotel, because, you know, for a year I was working in housekeeping, and you still are in contact with guests, but not as much. So in this, working in the front office, I got to utilize my people skills and my customer service and meeting people from all over the world, which is why my core passion was. Just a little bit about myself and my passion for the hospitality industry. It's something that I've always wanted to do. When I was still in high school, I was thinking, what do I want to do? And some people were like, they want to be doctors or they want to be engineers. And I was like, well, what am I good at? What do I really like to do? And I was like, well, I really like to talk to people. I would like to meet new people in my life, and I like to travel so much. And so what is the thing that I can use that will make me travel and make me experience new things? And I started thinking about hospitality and hotels, and my family and I had already traveled quite a few places in Malaysia and all over Asia and different places all over the world, and I really enjoyed just the whole atmosphere of a hotel, the luxury, the beds, to the placement of everything, to the cleanliness and the service, and everybody was so polite, and this is what sprung about the passion in me. So just to make sure that I wanted to do hospitality, I did an internship for 2 months before I actually started to go to America to study there for hospitality in my undergraduate, and I did it at the Taj Pramoti, which is part of the Taj group of hotels in Lusaka, Zambia, and they did a rotation for me throughout the different departments, and this is where I really found out that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Luckily for me, it turned out after studying and working, and each year I would go home for the summer vacation, and I would do another internship, and I would do another internship each year that I was there, and I slowly started thinking that I'm so glad I made this decision because this is exactly what I wanted to do. And now, after working at the Radisson Blu for a year, I thought to myself, what do I want to do next with my life? And so I came here to Swiss Hotel Management School to complete my master's degree, because I know that this is a requirement that slowly the industry is getting for top management positions. And I thought that while I'm still young, I'm only 23 years old, I don't have a lot of commitments to me right now, I don't have family, like an immediate family, like a husband or children, that it would make my life difficult a little bit if I took my master's degree later. So I decided to come and do my master's degree at SHMS. Leadership class, we had to take the SEI test, which is an emotional intelligence test, and we got the results out of it. Analyzing these results, I tend to agree with a lot of the aspects that have come to life. It tied in a lot with my SWOT analysis as well. Basically, the results showed that I was pretty functional to skilled in all levels, between the give yourself, know yourself, and choose yourself. My highest area of skilled competency in my emotional intelligence was in the give yourself, which was in pursuing noble goals and increasing sympathy, empathy, and things like that. Evaluating the entire assessment, I came to see that my highest scores were in pursuing noble goals, which could help me underline my vision and my values. Basically, this is my core passion. Then there was the engaging intrinsic motivation, which could help me motivate myself as well as motivate others, which I have seen that I like motivating others. I like to push them to try new things, to work hard, and to be positive. Also, my last strength was in increasing empathy. I find myself to be quite a good listener. I like to listen to what people have to say, whether it's about themselves or suggestions about things about me. I like to listen first and then speak, because in my opinion, with my strengths and my weaknesses, I find myself very indecisive, and so I seek out a lot of people's opinions very much. And so I like to listen first, and so it helps me increase my empathy with people as well. Some of my lowest scores, however, on the other hand, in the SEI test, was the enhancing of emotional literacy. I think that sometimes emotions can get in the way, they can become obstacles for me, and perhaps I need to develop into enhancing my own emotional literacy as well as observing other people's emotions in order to react to them in a positive manner and to become a better manager at the end of the day as well. And my second lowest score was in navigating my emotions, which ties into the same thing, figuring out what I want to do and how I'm going to react to things as well. So those are the results of my SEI assessment. Okay, so moving on to the SWOT analysis, we're going to start off with some of my strengths. So to begin with, I think some of my core strengths are that I'm a fast learner. I think that I have a great passion for the hospitality industry. This is mainly because, like I said in my brief introduction, that I really have always wanted to work in hospitality. Even before I started studying hospitality in my undergraduate at Johnson & Wales, I pursued an internship to make sure that this is exactly what I wanted to do. And then each year I would continue to do internships. So I think that the base core of everything that I do is underlying between my passion for the hospitality industry and just genuinely like to please people and be at their service. My next strength that I feel is a good ability to control my reactions. This has come out from my experience being a manager, having to hold back some reaction that you may actually have. It shows a sign of growth and maturity, but it's something that I'm still working on, and I think that so far I can use it as a strength because in a managerial perspective it has come to the benefit of me. Also, I think I have very good people skills. I think that I have quite a significant managerial experience, like I talked about in my introduction. Also, I graduated from Johnson & Wales University in Charlotte, North Carolina with honors, which also brought me the opportunity to come to Switzerland for a study abroad program and go into a Swiss school for 3 months. So this degree that I hold from Johnson & Wales, to me, holds quite a bit of value. Next, I think that I'm also quite open and talkative. I generally am not too shy. It depends on the situation, of course, but for the most part, I'm quite open and talkative. I find comfort talking to different strangers and to different people. I'm also quite efficient in problem solving, especially under stress. I feel that stress is the biggest motivator for me personally, and so when I'm under stress, I'm very efficient in problem solving. I like to get things done. Also, I'm very skilled in customer service, which can go hand in hand with my good people skills. I'm also very observant. I like to observe people and see what makes them tick, what maybe upsets them, what maybe makes them more motivated. As a manager, I had to get this strength into me just to know what my employees are doing, what motivates them, how can I get the most out of them. Also, I'm also very friendly and approachable, and I think that I'm professional and polite. So these are some of the strengths. I'm going to move on to my weaknesses. On the top I have that I'm a little indecisive. Yes, while I might be efficient in problem solving, sometimes I can be quite indecisive, especially when it comes to my own personal choices, my career goals, just because the indecisiveness comes from wanting to have too many options. So I'm a little bit indecisive on that, and sometimes I'm a bit self-doubting, which is why I seek out other people's opinions and their suggestions on things almost all the time. Also, emotions can become an obstacle. While I can control my reactions, sometimes in the long term, the emotions can become quite an obstacle, especially for us. Also, I have some of my weaknesses is lack of experience and knowledge in the F&B segment. I've done some internships where I've dibbled a little bit into the F&B area, but so far it hasn't come to be one of my strongest pursuits. I think that I need to work on that, especially if I want to achieve my long-term goals. I'm also a smoker, so this can also be a weakness for me. Maybe it can take up time out of my day. Instead of doing work, I would be going to smoke, or also it can affect my health. I'm also a little uncertain about my long-term goals. I have an overall picture of what I want to do, where I want to be, and what I want to achieve out of life. But as far as setting them in stone, they're a bit difficult for me, so I'm a little uncertain on them. Sometimes I can get really anxious and I have a low self-confidence, which could also be it can also be tied into the indecisiveness and the self-doubting. I think that they're all very linked. Also, sometimes I can feel pressure very quickly. I feel that, if there's an important meeting coming up, I can feel sometimes the pressure, and this can be a weakness for me, so I might not focus too much on the important things. However, I feel that sometimes this pressure can go either way. It can be a strength because it motivates me to get the job done and to get it done efficiently, or it can be a pressure and it can become an obstacle for me. So it just depends on the situation and the timing. Next we move on to my opportunities. I'm a student at SHMS, so this means that it opens up a lot of doors for me, creates a lot of networking experience, and I get to meet a lot of great people along the way also. I'm a master's student, and this is quite valuable in our industry because there are more and more students who are studying their master's degree, and this is slowly becoming a requirement for higher management as well. Another opportunity is that hotel room occupancies are rising. We're slowly getting out of the recession, so we're slowly kicking back up. So it's a good time to slowly get out of my master's degree and then getting into the market again, the job market. And at this time, it will hopefully line up very good for me. Also, there are a variety of job positions available. Also linked with being a student at SHMS, we have our doors wide open to a lot of different companies that come to the school and recruit. Also, our internship office in the school is very valuable, and they're very helpful in terms of trying to find an internship or management training or a job as well. So there are a variety of job positions also available. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about the management trainings in rotations in the F&B department, because I did list it as one of my weaknesses, so I thought that one of the opportunities would be is that if I do get a management training, which I have interviewed for, then I would get a rotation in the F&B department and hence enhance my level of knowledge and skill in this area as well. Lastly, I just want to talk about my threats. I'm going to start off with companies which sometimes prefer to hire lower skilled and low experienced candidates, because then they don't have to pay them as much and they can just train them. So this could pose as a threat for me. As well as the fact that I'm financially reliant on others, meaning my parents. They are the ones that are providing me with a financial income in order for me to study right now, and so on. Also, competition in terms of other master's students, not only at SHMS, but all over the world. As it is slowly becoming a requirement, master's students is now just as common as undergraduate degrees, so it can also pose to be a threat that there's a high competition level in that area. There's a high turnover in the hospitality industry. This is something that our industry has always faced. It may be due to the amount of hours, or the strenuous, it burns you out very quickly. So there is a high turnover in the hospitality industry. I put this under the threat because some companies don't want to keep people for too long because they would find it maybe a bit more valuable to hire somebody with a lower skill set and then train them, like I said earlier, instead of retaining the same people. But at the same time, it can also be an opportunity because if there is a high turnover rate in the hospitality industry, that also means that there's room for a variety of job positions. Other than that, I think that as far as my educational career goes, we have to do a dissertation. And other master's students in my class have done a dissertation other than me. In America, under that education system, it was very different, and we did not have to do a dissertation for our undergraduate, which brings me to the next one, is that I studied in an American system, and now I moved to a European system, so it's a bit difficult for me, and I'm still trying to work to do my best, but the fact that this is where I studied could pose to be a threat as well to my overall success in my educational career. Other than this, we have health issues due to smoking, which is my weakness, as I mentioned earlier. Also, the last one is that in terms of job positions, while there are a variety of job positions available, and this is an opportunity for me, my passport, being an Indian passport, could pose to be quite the obstacle in the way for companies to hire me because the procedures are much longer. So this can also pose to be a threat for me. So within the process of this leadership class, we were asked to make a personalized vision statement of our life and where we wanted to go. And for example, if this was your funeral, what would you want people to say about you? So I found this task very difficult because I'm so uncertain about my long-term goals. I have a generalized picture that out of life I want to be working very hard and use any free time I can exploring and traveling to new cities, because travel is my ultimate passion. And so I thought to myself, what do I want? I don't only want to be a workaholic. I don't only want to be working in hotels and just have that my entire life, but at the same time, I want a family, which can be very difficult to stabilize between the two in our industry. So I came up with this vision statement. The purpose of leading a full and balanced life, which is always full of adventure and surrounded by loved ones, while pursuing my passion for hospitality and dedication to traveling to new places. So moving on from the vision statement and the SWOT analysis, I just want to talk about a little bit about my career ambitions and my long-term goals. As I said before, some of the career choices that I have boiled down to is that just getting out of the school and the master degree, after I finish, I would like to go directly for a job for direct entry, because I feel that doing an internship would not really be to my best interest, because I've had enough experience to where I know where my skills lie in front office and in rooms division. I know where I'm highly skilled, I know where my assets are, I know what I can contribute to a company, and I want to move forward from this. So I would like to apply for an assistant manager position or something along those lines, in whether housekeeping or in front office, just in rooms division, basically because not only will this thrive on my passion, but it will also help me contribute to the company in my core assets as well. So other than that, I would like to work my way up to become a head of department in a couple of years. The next thing I want to do is work my way up to be a general manager. I see myself hopefully attaining this in the next 10 to 12 years. Of course, this could vary. It could take shorter time, or it could take a much longer time. Along getting experience, because I have had substantial experience but not enough. I think experience is something that we can always gain, as well as education. It depends on the career path that I go on. Perhaps I'd like to find a company where I can match my vision and their vision together, because I believe in high service excellence. I believe in high value of customer service. I like to please people. I like to serve people as well, and so I need a company where their mission and vision is matching up to mine at this point in my life. I've done internships, I've done some experience where I can choose my next company selectively, and I can have a choice in which company I would like to apply for. Other than this, I would like to apply for an assistant manager position, because I have had the relevant experience in both housekeeping and front office. I would like to stick to the rooms division department, because to me these are my biggest strengths. I've had experience in them. I enjoy them the most out of the entire hotel. So if I work for a company, as much as I would like to continue my passion, I would also want to contribute to them, and so working in the areas where I'm highly skilled would be a big contribution for the company as well. I would prefer to work for a startup company or a realignment. This is because I like challenging situations. As much as I liked housekeeping, it was not as challenging enough for me, so I moved to front office, to the managerial, to the admin work, and I found it to be a little bit more challenging with guests. And I enjoyed it. It kind of drove me towards my passion as well. So it's the same thing with the companies and the STAR acronym. I've done the startup before. The Radisson Blu had opened up in 2012 in October, and I started working there in October. And it took a lot. It made me learn a lot of the things that work and don't work in a weird way. And so it made me learn a lot about the processes in general, what it takes to have things work out very well, what type of leadership styles does it take. Of course, this leadership style was different because every leadership style changes with the people that you're leading, with the environment that you're in, with the organizational culture that you're in, and also just maybe where you are and your experience in your life as well. So I was younger than everybody. I was in Zambia, where maybe like traditions and values are a bit more highly held, and so there has to be a bit more respect, as I was younger than everybody else as well. So in this case, the leadership style that I chose to use was coaching. I found that coaching people, giving them suggestions as to, okay, that's a good idea, maybe we can try this and it'll become more efficient and much more better. It tended to work out very well for me, and I'm a very empathetic person. I like to listen to people, like my SEI results talked about, and so coaching was the best match for me. I cannot be very coercive or autocratic, because I don't like to just tell people what to do. I like to explain to them why this method works the best, because I found in my past experience that this seems to reach to people, and people seem to retain this information the most. As far as the companies goes, the first steps I would take in order to assess the company before I got to there would be, of course, I need to align my mission and vision with theirs. Are they as much into customer service as I am? Of course, every hotel has a certain standard of customer service that they like to reach, but are they really geared to it? For example, like the Ritz-Carlton, the Four Seasons, these luxurious hotels, they're very much geared into customer satisfaction and customer service, which is my biggest strength. And so I'm going to use my biggest strength to contribute to this company. So I need our values to match up as well. The next step I would do is I like to go on TripAdvisor, I like to go look at guest reviews, just to see where does the company stand, where does the hotel stand. If it was the Radisson Blu in Lusaka, I look on TripAdvisor and see what are people complaining about. Is it the service? Is it the product itself? I want to know before I get into a company what the problems are, what do guests perceive that hotel to be. And then lastly, if I could, depending on the situation, I would like to look at their financial status, because going into an assistant front office manager position, if that's the position that I got, I would need to know about the P&L statements, about their financial stability, what are their budgeting, what is their forecasting. So these are the types of questions that I would ask the interviewers when they were interviewing me before I got into the company, as to figure out whether this is the right fit for me. Am I going to be able to do this job? Am I going to be challenged in this job? And so asking these questions would give me a better outlook into whether the company would be fit for me or not. And then lastly, just in terms of the company itself, when I got there and I was hired, the first 90 days is one of the books that we talked about in our leadership class, and the 7 Habits of a Great Leader. And so just out of these books and our readings and videos on Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and other videos, inspirational videos that I've been looking at on YouTube, I figured out that the leadership style that I would want to do would obviously depend on the situation, the style of the company, the organizational culture, and things like that. But in my core, I think that I'm a coaching leader. I like to suggest to people, try this rather than do this. I like to tell people reasons as to why this works best, as to whether it does or doesn't. Okay, so just in conclusion, we talked about my SEI assessment, my SWOT analysis, which you can see behind me, my vision statement, and about the leadership styles that I would want to be underneath and what I would like to do, which is coaching. I enjoyed this class very much because it challenged me, not in terms of learning the different leadership styles or things like that, but more in terms of who I want to be and what vision statement I wanted to create. And I feel like this vision statement is the biggest asset that I'm taking out of this classroom. It challenged me to think in terms of what I want out of my life and forced me to think about these long-term goals, which is quite an asset to me right now because I'm so indecisive that having a set vision statement will provide the path along. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video.